I found Winnie's hole. Would you like to see Winnie's hole? Wait. I know what you're probably thinking, and I assure you it's not that kind of game. Unless you're really into body horror. Winnie's Hole is a roguelike block placing puzzle game that is currently in development, in which you do not play as beloved children's book character Winnie, whom you may recognize for not wearing a red shirt and being a resident of the public domain since 2022. Instead, you are a virus that has infected the silly old bear, and your goal is to transform him into a horrifying monstrosity. After seeing the trailer, I thought the game looked intriguing, and so I decided to download the demo and check it out. The game starts with Winnie leaving his house, which is basically just a hole in the ground, and me placing Tetris blocks to spread my infection throughout Winnie's body, aiming to jump down one of these holes. Yeah, there's a lot of holes in this game, actually. The first transformation I unlocked was a feeding hole? As terrifying as this is to watch, I'm more unsettled by the fact that Winnie hasn't noticed how his body is sucking up an entire flower field. Oh look, there's Rabbit! He's offering to take a closer look at Winnie's new and I'm sure he'll be fine. Further down the road, I ran into a bandicoot and a mole who called Winnie, and by extension, me, a monster. This activated my fight or flight response, and so I responded by forcing Winnie to grow an extra limb. This, in turn, activated their fight or flight response. And while the weakling mole chose flight, the bandicoot stood his ground, which means it's time for me to defend our host. In order to do that, I've made my way up to Winnie's brain so that I can assume direct reflexive control over his actions. The list of actions available is determined by whatever mutations Winnie is currently rocking, which his brain will randomly choose from in order to fill its cavity with ideas. You determine which actions Winnie will willingly You determine which actions Winnie will unwillingly take by placing your Tetris blocks to activate whichever neurons will lead to your opponent being rendered into a bloody pulp. Oh no! I'm going to have to brutally murder this baby-sized mole for the sake of my continued survival! Nothing personal. After finishing off the bandicoot and absorbing his biomass, I was given a choice of mutations and decided to go with crab leg, which gives me spikes. That sounds cool, but looking back, I don't think it was the best choice. Not that it would have mattered, because as the run continued, I realized that Winnie had taken a lot of damage, and I had no way of healing. So I ended up getting beaten into submission by a chihuahua. Embarrassing, I know. After that, Winnie was taken to the doctor, who, and from there, my only choice was to start over from the beginning. This time, I got a perk which healed Winnie whenever I tried to place a block outside of his brain. I would like to think that I had played a bit smarter, but between you and me, I think I was just lucky. After a few encounters, we ran into his holy honey badger, who offered to help Winnie recover from his illness, which I had no idea what he was talking about. Winnie is clearly fine. Nonetheless, he asked Winnie to raise his lump so that he could get a better look. I wasn't exactly sure which lump he was referring to, so I raised Winnie's claws instead. After a couple scratches, his holy honey badger decided that he'd had enough of my shenanigans, and so he proceeded to go feral. JDs and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the first boss. As intimidating as he looks, this is actually a fairly simple fight, so long as you're paying attention. First round, his attack will be weakened depending on how much damage he's taken, so try to cover as many attack icons as you can. Second round, his attack will be strengthened depending on how much damage he's taken, so it's better to revert full power to shields. Third round, he'll summon a mouse follower, which, now that I think about it, is probably a chipmunk, because otherwise the only other possible answer as to what it could be is a wasted opportunity. Fourth round, repeat instructions from the first round and proceed. After a decently long fight, I was able to endure long enough to defeat his holy honey badger, and upon doing so, Winnie's brain grew larger. And I'm left scratching my head, wondering how this illness is supposed to be a bad thing. You get a few extra limbs to hold stuff with, you get a bigger brain. I'm pretty sure someone said something about you smelling like garbage at some point. But apart from that, what's the downside? The run continued, and I proceeded to grow stronger. Until I ran into this trio, which gave me some trouble. The shepherd in the front had armor, which wasn't a big deal because I had armor-piercing attacks, but he also hit me with the strength of a truck. The dog in the back gave me healing, which I thought was odd, but didn't really complain. What I failed to realize, however, was that every time I took a healing action, the handsome doe accompanying them grew stronger, and so I was eviscerated. The good news is that I had unlocked a new strain of virus to play as, which started with the leech perk and had the ability to simply move people wherever I wanted them to be. Alright, one more run. The first new perk I picked up was Fasting, which took away almost all of Winnie's health with the promise that it would turn into a random rare perk after the next combat. The health loss is pretty bad, but I thought I could inflict enough bleed damage to heal so that it wouldn't be an issue. Turns out, I didn't need to do that, because I found a bunch of healing cells while I was exploring Winnie's body. Please don't take that out of context. And what did fasting turn into? Winnie's brain grew so large that my entire action deck could easily fit inside, leaving 2 empty spaces, which basically meant I could do whatever I wanted. Oh yeah, this was a good run. I defeated his holy honey badger, again, and then You think you're funny, don't you, twice different? I added the extra capture trait to my bonus power action, which meant if I used it, Winnie's brain would draw a whole new board of actions, and then I could essentially take a second turn before the enemy would be allowed to react. However, because Winnie's brain was already big enough that I could draw every single action in my entire deck, there was nothing left to fill Winnie's brain with until the next round of combat, which rendered this trait effectively useless. Then I made Winnie grow a tentacle, which gave me an attack that grew stronger for every blank space in the brain that I didn't select. The dream that I had in mind was that I would capture the bonus power action to reshuffle Winnie's brain, and then the only action available for me to draw would be to slap my opponent with the tentacle. Since the entire rest of the board would be nothing but blank spaces, this attack could potentially hit with enough strength to transmogrify the average Animal Crossing villager into a fine red mist. You can argue the chances of being able to pull that off are statistically unlikely, considering that 1. I needed to grow enough mutations to have a deck of at least 12 different actions, and 2. I would only have a 1 in 12 chance of not drawing the tentacle attack at the start of each round. But that wasn't going to stop me! What was going to stop me was the game itself. After beating up this big bird, I ran into the doctor. He congratulated Winnie on getting this far, and that was the end of the demo. So, apart from my dream build being ruined by an abrupt ending, I was intrigued. The concept of playing as a virus, while not unheard of, is certainly uncommon, and it's a much more interesting take on Winnie of the public domain flavored horror. I enjoyed the block puzzle gameplay, and the randomized transformation you can achieve in each run are absolutely unsettling to look at. If nothing else, I'm intrigued to see more of the game's plot and learn how we managed to go from this to this. My only complaint so far is that, aside from Winnie and Rabbit, we haven't seen too many characters from the original book. Where's Piglet? Where's Kangaroo? Where's Tigger? Christopher Robin? Though I do want to know what the deal is with this plague doctor, who the game implies is the one who gave Winnie the virus in the first place. This dude creeps me out. He looks like he's playing Darkest Dungeon, while everyone else around him is playing Root. It doesn't help that, as far as I can tell, he is the only human character in the whole game. Wait, in the original book, Christopher Robin was the only human character in the 100 Acre Wood. But then, does that mean... Oh, sweet dreams of Azathoth.